Hello everyone, back with you for another video. And this video is going to be about the Night Ranger show I attended at the Pabst Theater downtown Milwaukee last night, and also about the band Night Ranger in general. As I just said, they were here downtown Milwaukee, played at a place called the Pabst Theater, which holds about 2,000 people, something like that. And I didn't know this till I looked into the history of the Pabst Theater. It's a historic landmark in the city of Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin. So got to say I saw a concert in a historic landmark. For whatever that's worth, I don't know. I also saw a play there once a few years ago, but that's neither here or there. Before I get into the show itself, Night Ranger was one of those bands that I really didn't start really looking into them till I was done with high school. And, of course, I heard the likes of Rockin' America, especially Sister Christian. I heard those on the radio and heard the name Night Ranger and all of that, but really didn't start looking into them until two guys I was going to a baseball game with in the early 90s when I had just graduated high school. It was that summer, I believe. We were going to a baseball game, and he was playing the Night Ranger Greatest Hits cassette. And I had heard, before this, I had heard that they had broken up, split, parted ways. And I thought, it's a shame, but at least I can go get the greatest hits because, the songs really resonated with me then. So I got the greatest hits, and I think the first proper album I bought of theirs was Seven Wishes. I bought the CD of it way back when, and I had a vinyl copy of it until I decided to send that down the Vinyl Community Love Train. But then in the mid-90s sometime, I was looking through CDs, and I saw this CD called Night Ranger Feeding Off the Mojo, and looked at the back of it, and it was a 3-piece unit. Kelly Keagy, the drummer and vocalist, he does lead vocals on some songs, and guitars Brad Gillis, and I'm not sure who the bass player was. It was a 3-man unit. They made this album under the Night Ranger name. Bought it home. It didn't seem the same, even though people that have been involved with Night Ranger involved in the project, it just didn't seem like Night Ranger. Then I saw an article in the local newspaper. I was living in Chicago at the time. I think it was the Chicago Sun-Times that advertised there's a little blurb in there advertising a concert by Night Ranger featuring the original lineup. And it was at a theater much like I was in last night, across the border into Indiana. The theater doesn't exist anymore. It was linked to a hotel, but the theater was torn down a few years ago to expand the hotel, I think. But anyway, I ended up seeing the original Night Ranger unexpectedly, and it was a great show. But anyway, on to the gist of the video, the show last night. And the one thing I'll say about Night Ranger is, yes, there are other bands, that make you feel all nostalgic and everything. But there are certain songs of theirs, even though I didn't have the songs in my teen years and to listen to at the time, my high school days, that really made me think about those days because, like, for example, Sing Me Away, talking about a past relationship when he was a schoolboy. When you close your eyes, another song talking about a past relationship when he was in high school. First hear those songs, they make me think about my high school crush and what could have been there. And they performed those two songs last night. And last night, a song hit me the way it hadn't before. And it was the song Goodbye. And before they played it, they had mentioned that a member of their road crew, I think it might have even been their tour manager they've had for years and years and years and years and years, passed away. Not even 2 weeks ago. And they dedicated the song to him. Listening to it and singing along with it, like I do with the song, like I do at shows. Sorry for her. I'm gonna bring a little bit of personal stuff in here, but gave me the opportunity to really say goodbye and to a couple of people. The first one being my grandmother, who died in April. I mentioned that in the video just after it happened. Died of leukemia. And a friend of mine just after Christmas died of leukemia. So it really gave me a chance, even though I went to the funerals and all of that, it really gave me a chance to say, even though I'm standing at a rock show with 100 other people, have a little private moment within myself to say goodbye. So that meant a lot. But it just so happened that they followed up that song Goodbye with When You Close Your Eyes. So that shifted my attention, like that always does, to that high school crush I had, where who knows what could have happened if I would have explored it more than I did. Because I know now, even though I didn't want to admit it back then, they felt a strong for me as I did them, but being somebody with not a whole lot of confidence in that area in my life, I let her go. But again, I'm getting personal. Sorry for those of you who don't like that, but it just goes along with part of my feelings of the show. The highlights of the show for me, beyond those two moments of mushiness or whatever you want to call it, is they played a song from the Midnight Madness album, which has When You Close Your Eyes on it and Rockin' America on it. And they played a song from that album that they had said they never played. They not played a lot, and I like when bands do that. And the song was "Why Does Love Have to Change?" And they played the song. They had played the song "Night Ranger," which is, I think I heard him play it once the first time I saw him, but I've always liked that song. Those were two of the highlights for me. Of course, they ended the show in the typical Sister Christian followed by Rockin' America fashion that they typically end their shows with. Another song that I was kind of surprised to hear is the song "The Secret of My Success" that they recorded for the movie of the same name. Started off the show with "When the House Lights Went Down." "Rock and Roll All Night" by Kiss came on, blaring loud, and then when you hear "Please Welcome Night Ranger," you hear the keyboard part for "Rockin' America" and some other songs, and then the bass drum kicked in and you heard part of the guitar part for "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" and some other songs, and then they launched into the lead-off song from their latest album, "Don't Let Up," or I think that's what it's called. "Don't Let Up, Never Let Up," something like that. Somehow, some way, they launched into that song. I don't know how many people in the crowd even knew what that was, because bands like Night Ranger, from back in their day, you don't know how many, not too many people, except people that really keep an eye out, are aware of these bands releasing new albums. And, in the culture of digital downloading singles and all that, not a lot of people care about albums as a whole, but they played that song. Launched into "4 in the Morning," and then "Sing Me Away," followed by "7 Wishes." Then they played "Sentimental Street." And out of the times I had seen them, this is the first time where I saw them perform that song where it wasn't just Kelly Keagy singing along while the guy played the keyboard. The full band played that song, so it was nice to hear that song that way. I think and another song that was a newer song that, again, I don't know a lot of people knew about. They played the title track from their, I think it was a 2015 release, their album "The High Road." They played the title track of that. And again, I don't know how many people really knew what that song was. But I did, so I guess that's all that matters to me. I think I've covered all of that and gave you a little bit of my thoughts on Night Ranger. Another thing about Night Ranger I'll mention real quick is I remember reading when I was in middle school. Remember seeing a thing in one of the rock magazines, might have been Hit Parade or Circus, I don't remember which one, where there's a contest that somebody could enter back then, of course. And the winner got to host a Night Ranger concert at their school. And it just so happens that somebody from the high school I ended up going to after all of this won that contest, so I can say Night Ranger played at my high school. For whatever that's worth. But anyway, thought I would upload this little video talking about my thoughts on the band as a whole and the show last night. Really enjoyed it. I'm hoping I'll have to keep an eye out exactly for when and where it is, but they alluded to something that they had done just back in October that they're planning on doing again, is having a show where they play their first two records, Dawn Patrol and Midnight Madness, in their entirety. And couldn't make it to that show. It was in the Chicago area, and really wish I could. So if that's near me again, I want to go to that show because I want to hear those albums performed in their entirety. But anyway, before I go off on another rabbit trail about God knows what, I'll just say, have a great weekend, everybody, and enjoy the music.